Ever since the Book of Enoch captured the descent of celestial beings to the earth, mankind has worshipped them as gods. Blood was spilled for atonement in order to receive special blessings from these gods. The Bible tells us these fallen angels were also known as demons, and they required human blood sacrifice. Perhaps they were feeding upon this energy, and the energy of the children were said to be the strongest. Although the Most High abolished Baal worship in Israel in the Old Testament, it never died. You'd see these gods morph into different personas, but the results were always the same. Blood was spilled, children were murdered in order for people to find favor from these gods, to the point where King Ahab even murdered his firstborn and his lastborn to Baal. These Baal rituals had to be done in perfect secrecy. They were bloodlust orgies where the people would bathe in the blood of the murdered child and have sexual relations with men and women, also known as bloodlust magic. Baal worshippers would spill blood and ask Baal for blessings with children, with wealth, with land, with harvest. This was a year-round thing, practiced all the way up to the highest level of government in the ancient times. In fact, it was Israel's leading religion at one point before the Most High eradicated Baal worship from Israel. Archaeological evidence is replete with skeletal remains of Baal worship victims, with throats cut all the way down to the bone. Children skeletons with holes in their head from being struck and having their brains pour out and eaten by these Baal worshippers. In Canaan, they became known as Cain, no bulls, where the word cannibal comes from. Even pop culture in video games has captured the fact that Baal worship did not end in the days of the Old Testament. Let's take a look at this rendition. Here you see a person walking out of a fortress in the mountains high up, reminiscent of the days of the Old Testament where many of the fortifications were from mountainous areas. As he marches out in the horizon, you see Baal approaching in his splendor with his army of demons upon this noble character marching out alone to confront him. Most likely to illustrate the power of the Most High is behind him. Even to be martyred in the name of the Lord is an honor, and this man shows no fear as Baal approaches. Baal has his sigils on his banners showing his allegiance. Where have we seen this before? This is a scene from the halftime show of Super Bowl 46, where Madonna comes out in the same fashion as Baal. This is another example of these halftime shows having a link to the ancient demonic past.
Baal! The gates of Sescheron have stood for eons beyond remembrance, and you shall not reach them now. Remove your foul demons from our lands. We stand on the side of light, and you shall not be allowed to reach Mount Ariat. And that which you seek will not be yours.
Enough! Enough!
I shall take your position into consideration. Well, it seems your terms are not acceptable.
Now that we know who Baal is, what do these sacred pillars or obelisks have to do with him? They are erected at shrines and they are used as gateways in order to communicate with Baal on the other side. They are ingrained with hieroglyphics and occult symbols which can be activated by the occult practitioner. These things are gigantic in some cases, and in other cases they are strategically placed in order to activate the gateway, which can be activated using blood. In the ancient times, this is also known as phallic worship, and you can see why. One of the most famous occult practitioners that almost took over the entire world is none other than Hitler. Throughout the German landscape through his reign, you will find pillars and monuments reminiscent of Baal worship and ancient Egypt. Inscribed on these four-sided obelisks were hieroglyphics and special occult symbols that are used to communicate with specific spirits, also known as demons, on the other side. I had a scientist once tell me that Hitler lost the war in the realm of spirit in a very mega spiritual battle that he was fighting. If he didn't lose that battle, we would probably all be speaking German today. We have to ask ourselves questions like, why are there so many obelisks on this map that we were looking at? What is the purpose? There must be an application. It's not just a decoration. So what was the intent on putting these obelisks in so many places? Well, I can tell you right now, it was to act as a gateway for these demonic beings to be able to manifest into our world. It was a communion. For all these places that you see, there is actually a counterpoint of the same obelisk in the realm of spirit, building a bridge, if you will, so they can travel over to this other side. And then we're getting into the realm of possession at this time. But these obelisks are everywhere on the earth today as well. None of them have been torn down, although they should if you look at what the Bible tells us to do about them. So Hitler was very, very astute in his architecture, using these obelisks throughout his future Germany. Most of these obelisks that we see today were constructed out of limestone. What is the point of using limestone? What is infused into the limestone, if anything? It must be some type of vibrating electromagnetic component that allows a communion into the realm of spirit. We are getting into an angelic science right now, and most likely these secrets were dropped down from the times or the days of Enoch, probably shared through secret society like the Jesuits and the Freemasons today. You will find these hieroglyphics in Germany, you will find them in Sweden, you will find them all around the world, and you have to ask yourself why they are there. If the pharaohs were really defeated, how come the pharaonic science is still replete and captured and embodied in these obelisk monuments around the world? There was also a relationship between Ra, the sun god, and Baal. He was also known as the sun god. As Baal worship flourishes, let's connect the dots between Hitler and this man in America, John D. Rockefeller, who was also a benefactor of Hitler during World War II. Yes, John D. Rockefeller did in fact sell petroleum to the Nazis to keep the war going during World War II. Standard Oil and its subsidiaries quickly managed to consolidate the refining business in the Cleveland area and then began to extend their control into Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and New York City. Beginning in the 1870s, Standard Oil employed a number of cutthroat business practices, including monopolization, rate wars, rebates, and intimidation. The Rockefeller dynasty eventually parlayed their financial success into politics, and the rest is history. but we did find a connection with the Rockefeller family and BAAL worship, and this is no accident. The next photo you will see is their headquarters from the 1800s on 26 Broadway in New York City, which is now a historical site. You will find the sacred pillars, the obelisk, set up as a gateway on their building, on their rooftop.
Something terrible is about to enter our world, and this building is obviously the door. The architect's name was Ivo Shandor. I found it in Tobin's Spirit Guide. He was also a doctor, performed a lot of unnecessary surgery. And then in 1920, he started a secret society.
Let me guess. Gozer worshippers.
Right.
No studying.
After the First World War, Shandor decided that society was too sick to survive. And he wasn't alone. He had close to 1,000 followers when he died. They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the world, and now it looks like it may actually happen.
These pillars are configured in a way that they create a gateway into the realm of spirit. You will see a symbol on the side of one of them, and also the only thing missing from here is an altar.
The structure of this roof cap is exactly like the kind of telemetry tracker that NASA uses to identify dead pulsars in deep space.
Cold riveted girders with cores of pure selenium.
Everybody getting this so far? So what? I guess they just don't make them like they used to, huh?
No! Nobody ever made them like this. I mean, the architect was either a certified genius or an authentic wacko.
Ray, for a moment, pretend that I don't know anything about metallurgy, engineering, or physics, and just tell me what the hell is going on.
You never studied. The whole building is a huge superconductive antenna that was designed and built expressly for the purpose of pulling in and concentrating spiritual turbulence. Your girlfriend lives in the corner penthouse of Spook Central.
At one time, this was the tallest building in New York City, giving the rooftops the perfect privacy from prying eyes as they performed their BAAL rituals.
She's a dog.
Girl. It's Gozer. I thought Gozer was a man. It's whatever it wants to be.
Well, whatever it is, it's got to get by us.
Right.
Go get her, Ray.
Gozer the Gozerian? Good evening. As a duly designated representative of the city, county, and state of New York, I order you to cease any and all supernatural activity and return forthwith to your place of origin or to the nearest convenient parallel dimension.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
Are you a god?
No.
Then